Manchester United like Conor Gallagher. They've tried twice now to get him in the last 6 months. The last summer transfer window and a couple of weeks ago, they've had conversations again. What they don't like is spending money on a player like this. They don't want to spend the 15 million on Rúben Neves when he's going to be 29 next year. They don't want to spend 25 million pounds on Conor Gallagher because they think it impacts them going for Elliot Anderson or Carlos Baleba or Adam Wharton. Now, look, we can debate that, we can discuss that, we can be confused by that, we can ridicule that. But that's the situation with Manchester United. This is a player that they like. This is a player that Ruben Amorim would welcome to Manchester United. But this is a player that for some reason they will not pay the £25 million for. So one of two things needs to happen here. Atletico Madrid need to soften. And when I say soften, it's not even about cheap. United aren't trying to negotiate this price down. This is not about taking it down to 20 million or 15 million. They don't want to pay money for Conor Gallagher in January. They want a loan. Whereas Atletico Madrid are saying, well, we want money for this player because, we're not a Premier League club. We don't have the funds that you have. And if we're letting Conor Gallagher go, who we do sometimes pick and is always on our bench, then we want some recompense for it. So you can understand Atletico Madrid's position, and it's been the same since the summer. I find it a little bit weird. In essence, you can almost write Conor Gallagher off with Joshua Zirkzee because Roma are willing to pay £25 million for Joshua Zirkzee. So you can literally almost say Zirkzee goes and Gallagher comes in, which, to be honest with you, I'd be happier with that. I mean, I look at the number 10 options. You've got Mason Mount, Bruno Fernandes, Ahmad, Mbeumo, Cunha, Lacey. You've got six options at number 10. In the midfield, we've got Agate, Casemiro, Mainu, Bruno. So Zirkzee leaving and Conor Gallagher coming in actually doesn't bother me that much because it strengthens our midfield, and I don't see Zirkzee as a striker anyway. And I certainly don't think he's going to get much game time as a 10. So Roma are looking to give us £25 million for Joshua Zirkzee in the summer. They're not going to give it as now. They'll give it as in the summer, obligation to buy, loan obligation to buy, which is about as good as it's going to get for Zirkzee in January. But Man United don't want to give that 25 million, which they do have anyway, to Atletico Madrid. They want to do a loan deal. So, look, that's where we are. It's a player that we want. And I think what's really interesting is we were talking last night about Man United being ready to go on opportunities. We know they've got the 65 million that they were going to spend on Semenyo. We know they've got the 60 million that they were going to spend on Baleba. We can't just buy Elliot Anderson, Angelo Stiller, Carlos Baleba and Adam Wharton, and that's our midfield four. Even if we get two of them, we still need another two to be part of the squad, rotate, etc. And I think Conor Gallagher's better than everything we've got. I do. I think he's better than Agate. I think he's better than Casemiro. And I don't think Bruno and Mainu are really midfield two players. But I would also agree about Ruben Neves as well. I mean, look, Conor Gallagher's a player that we're looking at. 77% of you would go for him. Ruben Neves, I would sign him as well. I find it incredible. Chelsea are going to never win a Premier League title because their policy is to buy players under 24. What chance of us winning a title if our policy is not to buy players over 25? It's not going to work. As I said yesterday, Real Madrid bought Luka Modrić at 27. I can't believe we're not looking at people who are 26, 27, 28, 29, because a couple of those into our team would take us to the next level. You look at Lisandro Martinez. He's literally like a new signing because he's been injured for 2 years. Now he's back fit. What's Martinez, 28, 27? He comes into the team. We don't have Bruno. And look at the way they're responding to him. Now, I know Lisandro Martinez isn't a new signing, but effectively for Amorim, he is. Amorim's not had really any opportunity to use Martinez. Martinez comes into the team. He's 27, 28. And imagine if that's Yoro and Heaven at the back. They're going to make mistakes. They're good, honest young kids, but they're going to make mistakes. You bring Lisandro Martinez in, It makes a big difference. I'll tell you what, you put Lisandro Martinez at centre-back for Chelsea. Let's see how Chelsea start doing. These players are worth their weight in gold. These players between 25 and 29 are worth their weight in gold if you get the right ones. Because they've got experience. It's their final contract. You know, they are worth their weight in gold. And we've seen it with De Ligt and we've seen it with Mazraoui as well. They are worth their weight in gold. And I don't know why, other than financial, why Chelsea and Man United are obsessed with buying players under 25. It's resale value. That's all it is. You buy a 25-year-old, there's no resale value because, you know, by the time they've completed their contract, they're 30. You buy a player that's 20, you've got resale value. I mean, what sort of mindset is that? If I buy a 20-year-old, I don't want to sell him anyway. If I buy a 20-year-old at Man United and they do well, I don't want to sell them. Paul Scholes, Ryan Giggs, you don't want to sell them. You want them here for their career. So I don't get it. I don't get it. But look, let's wait and see what happens with it.